Let's talk about Hell Let Loose's newest map, freshly released with Update 19. It's not just new, it's also Hell Let Loose's best map, and the reason why isn't immediately obvious, so stick around and let's explore Smolensk.
What'd he say his name was?
Gebatron.
Update 19 has dropped as of December 3rd, and there is plenty to talk about, both good and of course some bad. But I really wanted to focus on what I think is the high point of the update and something that really impressed me. Something that I feel may fly under the radar in terms of coverage and credit when we talk about Update 19 and specifically Smolensk. Now the map itself is going to get a lot of coverage, and I'm pretty sure the vast majority of it will be positive. But why do I think it's the best map in the game, and what about that isn't obvious? Well, I'm going to bury the lead for a while by first talking about the more obvious reasons the map is great. First is that this is the most urban map we have in the game, and that is something both myself and the community at large has been asking to get for a long time. But it's not just urban, as in dense buildings, as the map has many different, let's say, regions that feel very unique from one another, all while feeling very connected to one another and cohesive. The center of the map is probably what most people will think of, and this is where you'll find, the city proper, which means dense buildings and rubble, apartments, destroyed businesses. It means multiple floors, as you can enter most buildings, some having up to 3 stories. Fighting here, especially the city center, is brutal and nerve-wracking. To the north, we have the railroad tracks that run the length of the map, cutting through urban sprawl. There is less building density here than in the city center, but not by too much, and we get more building variety here. We still get height here too, with those buildings, but also bridges and catwalks. Having to fight along the length of the railway is unique, where every car could be hiding an ambush. To the south, we have the river, which cuts the length of the map. You can cross the river anywhere, but of course, some places are better than others, and with foliage cover and buildings lining the whole way, that won't be an easy task. Bridges both intact and destroyed, trench systems, bunkers, urban sprawl. Honestly, it's a beautiful mess that leads to intense firefights, and I haven't even mentioned the imposing Kremlin wall that overlooks it all. Inside these different regions are even more unique features that make the Smolensk map feel larger than any other map in the game. It's the same size as every other map, a playable area of 2,000 meters by 1,200 meters, but it just feels bigger to me. One moment you're fighting over the second floor of a downtown apartment building, and the next you're pushing through a warehouse onto railroad tracks just to find yourself weaving through foliage in some poor soul's old backyard. And let's not forget the whole historical accuracy of it all either. As ever, the map has been faithfully recreated with some tweaks made, of course, to help with gameplay. Here's a quick excerpt from a video that Das Altberg has made where you can see just how accurate it is. Note that the rail yard here has been narrowed for gameplay purposes. There are going to be some tweaks like that here and there. Make sure to watch Das's video after this one, link at the top right, and give him a sub while you're there. He makes good videos, and I like the majority of his opinions on the game. Okay, now you're saying, well, that's all fine and good, Gebatron, but all Hell Let Loose maps are historically accurate, sans El Alamein, and they all have unique features. What's this less obvious thing you're keeping from us? All right, you guys, it's the sound. Each one of these regions has its own specific soundscape that really ratchets up the immersion and makes for a really great atmosphere. Let me get specific. In the city center, there is a ton of rubble on the ground, and we get sounds for when traversing this rubble. Which is a nice touch, but listen to this. We get what I can only describe as the sound of buildings slowly disintegrating, rubble falling off of partially destroyed buildings. Now this new sound adds to the atmosphere, which is great, but it can also be hard to immediately tell the difference between this sound and players traversing rubble. This leads to paranoia and heightened tension when slithering through these ruins, making for a new and unparalleled experience in Hell Let Loose. Sticking with the center of the map, but switching to nighttime, we get the roar of roughly 5 or 6 buildings engulfed in flames right here in the middle. Now, fire isn't anything new in Hell Let Loose, but in Smolensk, it's more concentrated here than any other map. These burning buildings are smack dab in the middle of the center strong point, so you will definitely be here if that is in one of your matches. But chances are you might find yourself here anyway, as it's a major roadway and an important vessel for logistics. Either way, the roar from these fires can mask nearby activity, robbing you of one of your key senses during battle. And we won't even talk about how atmospheric and epic it looks, as we're just focusing on the sound. Plenty of other buildings are on fire throughout the map too, but here in the center it's just more concentrated and impactful. Moving on, we have interior gunfire sounds that aren't necessarily new, but with so many buildings and players going in and out of these buildings, this is just so much more noticeable and apparent. This can really impact the game too, since there are so many open buildings with so many levels that when you hear unfamiliar sounds, you need to check if it's friendly or not. And if you haven't familiarized yourself with how these weapons sound inside buildings, or maybe you aren't familiar with each individual weapon's fire rate, well, after a few matches on Smolensk, you will be. Lastly, let's go up to the train yard, where you will occasionally hear train whistles and bells. Now, I can see where some people may not like this, as there are no trains moving on the map. As a matter of fact, there isn't even an engine modeled, as it's all cars of one form or another. But even if you don't like it, you can't deny that it adds to the atmosphere, and that's what this map has more of than any other map in Hell Let Loose, and I think it's due to all the normal things that make Hell Let Loose maps good, but these sounds and how they have been implemented is what takes Smolensk to the next level. And there might even be some sounds I haven't found yet. You'll have to let me know if you find any other sounds down in the comments. Way back in July of 2020, I made a video reviewing Update 7, which was the update where we got Quarantine. In that video, I praised Black Matter's efforts, as Quarantine truly felt like the culmination of everything they had learned from making the other maps that came before it. I feel like Smolensk is that same culmination for Expression games. Since Expression has taken the reins, we have gotten a few map reworks, think El Alamein, Purple Heart Lane, and Stalingrad, and new maps including Elsenborn Ridge, Mortain, and Tobruk. While Black Matter made great maps, I always thought that Expression improved on it by having those maps contain more stories. An area like this that always comes to mind for me is the strong point Destroyed German Convoy in the northeast of Mortain. Smolensk continues in that trend. However, the addition of these map-specific sounds and map area-specific sounds has added a new layer to what Expression has already been doing very well. I can't praise their efforts here enough, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds, not only for upcoming Hell Let Loose maps and map reworks, but for what we may even see in regards to map design and map sound design in Hell Let Loose Vietnam. Go play Smolensk right now and see for yourself what the hype is all about. Go play on Glow's Battleground servers for a top-tier Hell Let Loose experience. Check the video on the top left for a deeper dive into Smolensk, and check out Das Altberg's historical comparison video to the bottom left. Pull the trigger on that like button, subscribe so you don't miss future Hell Let Loose videos. As always, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.